Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Can I just thank Mike Sabin for resuming his seat? Can I thank him for his contribution? Because every time Mike Sabin makes a speech in this House, the women of New Zealand, the 52% of the voters in New Zealand, recommit to not voting for that party. They recommit every time they see that man rise to his feet in his bombastic way, in the way that he minimises those things that women do inside this workforce, in the way that he minimises the value of women at home and the importance that women put into this society. We thank you, Mr. Sabin. New Zealand First is rising well past the 10% based on the speeches of Mr. Sabin alone. So thank you so much for your contribution. We look forward to more. We look forward to more. Back to the bill, Mr. Speaker, because Mr. Sabin, unfortunately, even though he doesn't normally even read the bill, he has had very little time to actually even concentrate on this one. Just quickly though, with regard to the criticism of Ms. Logie's contribution, the title of the bill is Budget Measures Financial Support for Newborn Children Bill, which means that it's supposed to support newborn children, no matter where they are. That is what the title would suggest to you. Now, I can't say what New Zealand First is going to do with regard to any supplementary order paper at this stage because I need to consult with my colleagues. But the bill itself may be mistitled by the National Party if they are very, very against supporting every newborn child. They need to make that clear possibly in the title before we go forward. I do want to say it's been a very lucky year for parents in New Zealand. It's been a very lucky year. And that luck has been because Sue Moroney's bill was pulled out of the ballot. That's what forced this forward. There was no way on this planet or John Key's planet that this was going to happen without that pressure. And you can see it inside the regulatory impact statement. You can see inside there that the officials have said we actually haven't been able to do any research on this ourselves, but thankfully there's already been a bill there. Thankfully most of the work have been done. So I think I want to acknowledge on behalf of New Zealand First that this is here in the budget not because the National Party has suddenly seen the value of mothers being at home. Oh no. The National Party has been forced into it. So there's two reasons why it's a lucky year. One, the bill was pulled, and two, it's an election year. So I want to say thank you very much, Sue Moroney, for your work that you did on this, for bringing this to the attention of the country, for making it incredibly difficult for this government to back away from this issue. So difficult, because they tried. By crikey, they tried. But with 26 weeks, with the campaign that you ran, with the woman that stood up around this country and said, we believe it's important that parents, not just women, but parents are able to bond with their children and that we as a country are better for it. And that forced the hand of this government. I am interested to see whether the ACTA Party will be supporting this bill. Only recently in television we had the new leader of the ACT Party, his name escapes me, he's not well known, and the new leader of the new leader of the ACT Party stand up and say, don't have children if you can't afford it. Don't have children if you can't afford it. Only the rich people should breed, basically, is another word of actually putting that. Only the rich should breed. So as this party is, and Mr. Mike Sabin is shouting out, how sensible. Ladies of New Zealand, Mike Sabin just shouted out, how sensible. Please mark it down, put it in the Hansard and in italics. Thank you. Another 2% on the New Zealand First poll. Woo! Go for it, Mr. Sabin. Keep it coming, Mr. Sabin. Keep it coming. It's excellent work you're doing on behalf of New Zealand First. Can we just return to the regulatory impact statement, sir, for a moment? And let's point out the fact that the regulatory impact statement actually says that the return to work often occurs before a baby is 6 months old for financial reasons. And that is why 26 weeks was important. That is why 26 weeks was the goal. But it's never been the goal. It's not the goal inside this bill. It's not the goal anywhere else. 18 weeks is all that whoever over there actually truly believes that having a parent at home is good for a baby. That's all they could eke out of this tight-fisted government. That's all they could eke out for newborn babies, because that's what the bill's title is. It's not about parents. It's not about people working or not working. It's about newborn babies. The government doesn't want to make it about that. Even Simon Bridges, when he stood up, made sure that he emphasised the amounts of the dollars. This was a conversation about money, not about babies. And if you extrapolate the figures out from this investment at the front end of life to the other end of life, you will see, we will see, inside those numbers, that an upfront investment in this part gives downstream return, more than in multiple ways. For example, it has been proven again and again and again that when women are actually given an opportunity to stay at home, look after their children, and I say women because actually we would have liked to have seen some sort of parity here, where there, perhaps with the Danish model, where there was a requirement for men to take part of this parental leave. We're not going to push the point now. It's a conversation that the country should have, and maybe that would go some way to actually minimising the pay gap. Maybe if we actually saw all these roles as equitable, then we wouldn't have this conversation that we have inside business all the time, because actually we would truly be equal when it came to the way we cared inside our homes. Because I know that fathers are absolutely equal in the way they love and care for their children. And I'm sure they'd like to have the opportunity to bond on some occasions with their children, have that burden of action in most cases. And so there you go. So that would have been a nice conversation to have. But what we do know is that when women are well supported when they're at home with their babies, when they feel that they have actually truly had an opportunity to make sure their baby is well and is settled and all is right with the world and their relationship is strong, they are better employees. Employers tell us that. Employers tell us that when women know their children are well looked after and everything's going well and been given an environment of support, that they are better employees. They're more loyal. They work longer hours. They stay through greater trauma. They're just more loyal. And that's what businesses tell us is important, especially when times get tough and you need to actually have conversations with your employees, which is we need to do some give and take here. So it's a shame that the government couldn't see its way clear to do the 26-week, to actually meet the World Health Organisation's targets, to actually meet what has been designated by the World Health Organisation as saying this is the best start for newborn babies. So what is this about if it's not about that? Is it about let's just give them a little bit so that they're grateful, and then we can ride into the elections? And there's an awful lot of that, and yes, I may have a cynical view because I've seen it. I saw it in the 1990s, and I'm seeing it from this government. I've seen it for the last 6 years. Drop a $10 million over here into a pot and tell those people they're fine. We've seen it with the grandparents raising grandchildren. So we're seeing it again here, and we're obviously going to be speaking on all parts of the bill very quick as we go through this evening. So I would like to just highlight through to Saturday, for the families out there that think that this is a win-win for them. All those families out there that have actually been getting working for families, I think you need to tune in as this conversation goes on, because there are amendments inside the working for families. The families that came to see me in 2008 that said, we're going to vote against the Labor government, which they did in 2008, but they said, crikey, we really, really, really hope that the national government doesn't touch working for families. Well, here we go, New Zealand. Listen up, because inside this bill, it starts to cut into your working for families. It starts to lower that support that you have had. Nothing is ever without hooks with the national government. Never without hooks with the national government. As we go on to talk about this bill, I believe you will hear more and more hooks come out.
I call Chris Ockenvold.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's with pleasure I stand to speak on this in support of this particular bill.